I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, played it for ages, saw the first movie in '94, the Van Damme one, then saw The Legend of Chun-Li, and you know, I think I can speak for every Street Fighter fan, and I can say it wasn't what we wanted. It fell well short of the mark. The Hollywood system is just not getting it right, in the same way that they didn't with comic book movies for a while, but now they are with the Chris Nolans and Zack Snyders out there. You're getting utterly faithful adaptations that are doing great business, and now Hollywood's like, okay, we can have fanatical filmmakers make these things really faithful, and they'll still be bankable. But it hasn't crossed over to video games yet, and I wonder why, because a lot of these games have great backstories. So I thought, you know, someone has to do it, and it might as well be me. I've got the fighting know-how. I live with the living incarnation of Ken. Christian and myself have just thought, imagine if Street Fighter was like this, and this is how we would do it.
I've known Joey, the co-director, for a long, long time. We've been great friends and also fellow Street Fighter fans. So when this idea kind of came about, and it was kind of like, well, there's only one role for me, and it's going to be Ken Masters. So yeah, kind of from conception, I was there at the beginning, and me and Joe have worked together as well. So coming up with the ideas for it, and we co-wrote it together. So from the get-go, I've been kind of involved. You kind of think like, which Street Fighter character is your favourite, who do you want to be, and it's always been kind of Ken Masters for me. And then to get the opportunity to actually bring that to life was incredible. I mean, it's like a dream come true.
We didn't have much money. We managed to raise, you know, a kind of budget that would be the equivalent of a day's shoot on a commercial or something, you know. So it was a lot of favours and a lot of passion to get all the pieces together to the point where we knew we could actually shoot. Only happened about 12 days before we shot. All the costumes had to be made from scratch in that period. All the prosthetics and makeup stuff had to be done. John Fu, who played Ryu, only flew in 8 days before we actually filmed.
It wasn't a hell of a lot of prep time to actually, you know, do the R&D on a lot of stuff.
So it was a mad rush, and we shot the actual thing in 2.5 days in Ashridge, which is a National Trust estate just north of London. It was a great location because they have these quite dramatic landscapes, and very few people would think that that's just, you know, an hour out of London.
We were shooting barefoot in, you know, below 0 temperatures. It was done in February and it was freezing cold, I've got to tell you. So you're running about in the woods, your feet are numb. I mean, there's all sorts on the ground. We didn't pull any punches, you know, it wasn't like we had a comfortable studio. This was out there for real. There was all kinds of twigs, seed pods on the floor. I mean, I ended up ripping a hole in my foot, but you kind of got to carry on. I can't really put a bandage around it because you're going to be able to see that. So we're trying to keep true to these characters. They don't wear shoes. They are that hardcore. Shooting fights, you get knocks, you get punched and whatnot. So John is a little notorious, in my opinion, for not really pulling his punches. And I had an incident where he managed to elbow one of my eyebrows off, so we had to stick that back on. But I did get my revenge with the Shoryuken. If you look carefully, you can see the impact. John's ear is moving from the impact under the chin.
For casting something like this, the characters have to have the right look, you know, facially and, you know, physique-wise. They've got to be able to act, and they've got to be able to do the moves. That's so important. There's no good having characters that look great, but they can't fight. So it's a really hard thing in something like Street Fighter. I mean, you can see the characters here. Getting someone that looks, they're all styled larger than life, getting someone that looks like this facially, has the physique, and can also fight, because it's the fighting thing people want to see.
We wanted to do as many practical effects as we could, not just make this all about CGI and we'll fill in the gaps later. We got our prosthetics girl to make up a silicone glove that was going to protect my hand. You know, it was covered in flame gel, so I wasn't going to get burnt, and I said, do it.
Now that was a brave move, because normally they'll think, oh, just CG it, just do it in post. But you'll see when his fist first ignites, it's real flames and he's actually on fire.
Definitely like to keep playing the character. I mean, you know, there's big plans for what's going to happen that all needs to be sorted out.
Street Fighter would work very well in a series format. I mean, in the way that Lost for example. There's a huge ensemble of characters, but it takes the time with each episode to dwell on each character and character develop them. So then when you see the group together, each person means something and you know what their motivations are. They're not throwaway characters. And Street Fighter, they deserve it because, of course, okay, Ryu and Ken are let's say the most popular ones probably with fans are Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li and Guile. So in a Hollywood format, they'll probably focus on these ones and just make the others throwaway, quick cameo goons. But look, Zangief is some people's favorite character. You know, Blanka's some people's favorite character. And it's a disservice to them to just write off their character. So in a series format, you could have each episode doing the backstory, giving that character their time to shine. So then later, when it's the ensemble piece, sure, some of these characters will get knocked out in the tournament and won't be seen again. But at least you think, okay, they had their 10 minutes of fame, you know, and the fans that are obsessed about that character can just rewatch that episode, you know. I think a combination, I mean, but then again, a trilogy of films could work because you've got the World Warrior Tournament, which is the Street Fighter 2 story, but then you've got this whole, you know, Gukun and Akuma and Ryu and Ken, their whole story in Japan that needs to be told. So we'll see, possibly a series, could be a web series or a movie deal. I mean, this is what all needs to be worked out.
This is a pivotal role for me and, you know, something that I feel so in tune with, that I've kind of known this guy for a while, and to get the opportunity to do it and hopefully on a larger scale would be amazing.
To all the fans out there who have watched it, the 1.2 million who've watched it so far, you know, thank you loads.